What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another great episode of Road Talk. Here at Road Talk, we will be talking about some One Piece this week. We will talk about 1066 and we will be talking about 1067 of One Piece. And these two chapters were great chapters, and I'm very excited to be here talking with all my Nakama, all my family, all my friends. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be wild. So let's get right into this week's episode. Let's go! Now, I hate to be the person to say I told you so, but I definitely did tell you so, because I told you we was going to get a flashback in 1066.
Told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
But I was kind of wrong, just in one spot, that it wasn't going to be about what I thought. We actually got a flashback about Ohara and everything that went on in Ohara, about how they saved everything. And I know I maybe have wrong about that part, but I was still kind of right about it as well. Before we start talking about Ohara, we definitely have to talk about all the things Shaka was talking about, Dr. Vegapunks Shaka, because it was definitely some intriguing stuff about the Void Era. Everybody know the Void Era in One Piece is what happened 900 years ago, and that is all blanked out and erased from the history of One Piece. Nobody really knows about what actually happened. That is until Dr. Vegapunk. Dr. Vegapunk is telling us little by little of things that possibly could have happened. But the one main thing he has to tell everybody before he tells them all this information, regardless if they want to hear it or not, is that they might get wiped off and erased from history as well. If the world government knows anybody that's researching that dark era, the Void Era, then they will be erased. And we already seen what happened like two chapters ago with Sabo, when that whole island got obliterated. Just imagine if somebody is doing research about the Void Era, just imagine what will happen then. And when the Shaka is telling the, let's say, Straw Hat B group with Sanji's group, we have a little part when Frankie was like, he was saying that it was a romance and a mystery, and what all the information that we was hearing from Shaka at that point, it was no romance whatsoever in mystery. So I'm wondering, did we miss something? Did Oda leave out something intentionally? Because I know time back at Wano we did have something similar. So I'm wondering, did we miss something, or is Frankie just jumping the gun? And the reason that we can know a little bit about the Void Era now is because what happened on Ohara. Ohara will still lives on, Robin. It still lives on. So all your people, everything that they did on that fateful day, it was all worth for something. And we're gonna start off with the books that was placed in the water. Many people would say that is a very, very stupid thing for the Marines to come here knowing that these people have information about the Void Era and they doing research about the Void Era, and not get rid of the books that they had at Ohara. Yes, you are very correct. That is very silly. But also, I think their information is not very transparent and clear of what they was actually meant to do. Their main mission was for them to go obliterate Ohara with the Buster Call. That was it, and take no prisoners. So, if you just hearing that information, this island over here needs to get blown up, take no prisoners, just eliminate the whole island. That's what you're gonna do. You're not gonna worry about books or paper. You're gonna be worrying about the people and the island, so nobody can escape. That's why the books wasn't destroyed. And also too, I find it very weird that these books were still in good kept condition after months of just sitting in water. Because if you thinking about it, if you put any paper or book in water for a long period of time, those pages get stuck together. It gets very messy, and then you try to dry it out and then separate the pages, and then things would get very sticky, and then you would take away the word. So I don't even like that part. Or maybe I'm just thinking too deep into it. This is an anime, so anime does have a little leeway of what is going on, but the books did survive. And guess what, guys? Information gets even more deeper because they were saved by none other than Captain D. Saul. So yes, guys, Captain D. Saul is still alive. And if you guys are subscribed to my channel and y'all following me, y'all would know that I already predicted that he would survive, just because when Aokiji used his devil fruit powers, it was called time capsule. Time capsule, if everybody knows it in the world, that's something that comes out after a certain period of time. So you'll place a box in the ground with some valuable things, and then 20 years later you will open it up, go dig it back in the ground, open the box up, and then take those important things out and see what that you place underneath there. And that's the same thing with the ice time capsule. Aokiji basically just put him on a little freeze pause for a while and let the whole world forget about Ohara, and then eventually he'll thaw out and he will leave. A lot of people out there are speculating that the man with the burnt face could be Saul, but I'm finding that too predictable. Oda likes to throw different things out of us, and he expects us to just jump and bite on something. I really don't feel like it's going to be that. And I'm starting not to think it's going to be Sabo. I feel like it's going to be a man that's wandering out there that we haven't really confirmed or know anything about at this point. But I'm very interested in who that could be. I don't think it could be Saul, and I also don't think it would be Sabo anymore. But that's not the only juicy news that we did get here in this chapter. We also got the reveal of young Dr. Vegapunk. And Dr. Vegapunk head, let me tell you,
got more head than he got body.
That man head was huge. Like, can you believe how big his head was? Like, just imagine if he was growing up as a kid and he had that big head. Everybody would have been clowning him from grade school all the way into college. Like, it would have been nonstop. But Dr. Vegapunk is now showing a little bit more about his back history and who he really is. He's not only probably one of the smartest men in the world, or is the smartest man in the world, he also has some deep ties with some important people, aka Professor Clover, and also he does have deep ties with Dragon that we kind of already seen, because he already said, Dragon, I need to tell you something before he passes on. And now we are seeing that he actually has more younger history about them. Back right after when Ohara was obliterated by a Buster Claw, they came to Ohara months later, not together, but when they saw each other there, they was talking about some of the things about how Monkey D. Dragon wanted to have Dr. Vegapunk part of his alliance. Monkey D. Dragon did not have enough money to keep Dr. Vegapunk's experiments running, so that's why he chose to go to the Marines. They had the money, they had the resources, they had everything he needed to improve himself. They had a plan, it looks like. So I do feel like something is manifesting between them two, or some big thing will happen between them two. They seem like one is just inside being undercover at the world government, and then the other one is just right in plain sight of the world government. And right after they got the books and helped the Giants take it up to Elbaf, we're gonna get into a little bit of that later, but after that you can see that Monkey D. Dragon said out he's gonna create a military that's strong enough to change the world. And now we can actually start to see where Luffy's dedication and determination comes from. It's starting to come from this family. This family is determined people. They are willing to go after anything they want, and they will have it eventually. I just feel like they speak their stuff to existence, and that's exactly what Monkey D. Dragon, Monkey D. Luffy, and Monkey D. Garp does. Elbaf. Everybody knows for a fact that we have to go to Elbaf one day, and now we are getting more context of why we have to go to Elbaf. One, for all the books and knowledge that Nico Robin can go read. Two, that Nico Robin can go see her friend Saul. And three, so Usopp can actually be who he said he was going to be in the way back. And we all know that Usopp is saying that he will go to Elbaf one day, and we especially know this since when he went to Little Garden and he met Dory and Brogy, and he told them he will eventually will. And now it just seems like everything is coming full circle with all this information, especially now Elbaf is here now in this chapter. So big things is definitely happening. We going to Elbaf pretty soon. With giants being the talking point at this moment, we do also get to see that everybody gets to see this big iron giant in this chapter. We get to see everybody is now amazed about how big this iron giant was, in that the fact that this giant was created in the Void Era. And the last reveal that we have in chapter 1066 is the current form or the current look of Dr. Vegapunk. And Dr. Vegapunk looks just like Albert Einstein. And it's cool to see that him without a big head now, he has an apple on his head now, and we're going to be getting into that now in chapter 1067. Before we get into all the what 1067 has to offer, I would like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It does really mean a lot, all the love and support that you guys are doing right here, right now, just watching my video. But if you could do me one favor, just go that extra distance and like the video. And if you do like the video and you really do appreciate everything that I'm offering right now, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you always will be in that loop. And now let's get back to this video. Honest with you, this chapter should have just been called Dr. Vegapunk, because we have a lot of things that Dr. Vegapunk was just getting off the chest, a lot of information that we was increasingly learning about Dr. Vegapunk. And the reason why he has that apple on his head is actually an antenna, and that antenna allows him to go where his main brain is located, and that is Junk Records. Dr. Vegapunk ate a devil fruit, which is the brain fruit. Everybody probably could have guessed that probably way back then, because we already knew he was the smartest man in the world. We just didn't know how he was doing it, but now we really have concrete evidence that he ate the brain fruit, and he's able to store everything, any information that he has into his head. That is why his brain gets so big. But being the smart creator that he is and having the brain fruit, he's able to manage that some way by cut his head and being able to store it and to in Junk Records. So basically, before his head was big as a giant, tall as a giant, now his head is big as an island, or at least half of an island. Apple antenna he has on the head acts basically just like Wi-Fi, and he's able to receive information and as well as to send information to all his other Dr. Vegapunk. And we already assumed this, and especially when Rob Lucci was telling us all this information back when a couple chapters ago. We already kind of assumed that he was the main focal point and he was sending information down. We just have now him really saying it and then giving us the great content that he is giving us. His dream is to have the whole entire world be able to have this capability, basically this big internet, being able to gather any information that you need and being right there. And most people are, ecstatic. Like Chopper, he was like, oh, you have things about health and science and medicine, and he does actually have that, which could be later helpful for Chopper down the road. But also, if he does do this, all these scientific weapons and these pacifists, these seraphins that he's created, what is stopping, if he did make this global for the whole entire world, what is stopping Blackbeard from using all this capability and creating tons of seraphins? Maybe it would cost too much, but that is a gamble that he's saying he's willing to pay. You cannot produce more science later down in the future, or science cannot go anywhere if you're scared to take risks. That's what he tells Jinbei. And I feel like that could be something that's going to be foreshadowing a big thing will happen, that somebody will be able to use his own research against them. And I'm starting to dig Dr. Vegapunk, because not only that he is like kind of quirky like Luffy, he says like random things, and he was stuck between the giant when Luffy met him. He also does show like another quirky side too about how much of a perfectionist he is, because he asks Luffy like, hey, I heard you went to Wano, I heard you saw a dragon over there. I used that dragon, I created that dragon, but I'm sorry, it was a failure. Luffy was like, no, it's not a failure. It was breathing fire, riding on clouds, and it was huge and tall and everything. But when Dr. Vegapunk asked Luffy what color was it, and Luffy said pink, he put his head down on the ground. He was like, he's such a failure. He failed at that just because he made a small mistake about the color difference between blue and pink. He's definitely a perfectionist, and I just really liking the little gag that he does have there about how much he is very crucial about everything he works with. Anybody that does anything out there in the world that they're passionate about, cooking, working, or probably even putting things to YouTube, they spend a lot of time with something, and then when they see one little mistake about that, they do tend to feel some type of way about that, and it just shows what type of character he is, and something I personally can relate to. And this chapter as well should also be called the Iron Giant, because we also do have more details about why this Iron Giant was created and why it was found and why it wasn't here at Egghead Island. And that was because long ago, 900 years ago, this Iron Giant was created with that one kingdom that nobody really knows the name of it at the current. But when they was battling in that void area with the other 20 kingdoms, this Iron Giant was created. And not only was this Iron Giant created 900 years ago, it wasn't really used until 700 years after its creation. And that is when it climbed up all the way to Mary Joa just to make it up there, and then his battery died. And the energy that this Iron Giant was using has not been able to be recreated ever since then, ever since it died at top of Mary Joa. And that is saying something. From Dr. Vegapunk, which has a head as big as island, all the information that he has, he's not able to recreate this energy source. Dr. Vegapunks created things for to put on the boat so sea monsters couldn't see you. He was able to create sea stones. He was able to just use different things, even creating the Vegaforce that they have there at Egghead Island. He was able to create all that, but he was not able to create an energy source that was able to power up this Iron Giant that stood at Marijoa 200 years ago during the Voided Era. So that even tells you more about how great the civilization was 900 years ago, this one kingdom that was battling everything, because they had this capability of creating an Iron Giant 900 years ago, and also creating an energy source that was able to power up this Iron Giant. And this Iron Giant looks like if it did have any battery left when he made it all the way up onto Mary Joa, it would look like it would have did some devastating things. But fortunately for the Mary Joa people at that time, it did not go as planned. This just gets me more hyped about the Straw Hat Crew, because time and time again we see stuff like this happen with the Straw Hat Crew. We see things that they are able to do that no one was able to do, declaring war on the world government to save Robin, to go to fight two Yonkos at once at Wano, just to fly all the way up to Skypiea when nobody said they could. And they always answer to the bell, and I feel like some type of way either the crew will do this, but I especially think Luffy will have some type of capability with his awakening to power up this Iron Giant. Maybe it could be his drums of liberation, of how his awakening form beats as a drum. Maybe that is the key to power up the Iron Giant. Or it could be maybe even something like the voice of all things, that the robot doesn't respond unless somebody has the voice of all things. And we already seen Luffy showing that he has the capability of hearing it. Maybe he just hasn't been able to tap into it like other people has, aka Momonosuke. And this is why I believe that this Dr. Vegapunk, the actual Dr. Vegapunk that's talking with Luffy, wants to be able to go with Luffy and travel with Luffy and have him take him off Egghead Island. It's because that when Luffy does show that capability and learn how to use this energy source that wasn't able to, for Dr. Vegapunk could create it, and that's saying something right there. Dr. Vegapunk couldn't create this, but Luffy will. He wants to be right there, maybe to help Luffy in the process, or also just learn from what Luffy is doing, and maybe just to write it down or to figure out how he's able to create some type of energy force or another elements basically to power up this Iron Giant. And one thing that if Dr. Vegapunk does actually leave with Luffy off the island, how far does that antenna work? Because we all know how Wi-Fi and signals work. If you're too far from a location or you don't have no signal around that location, it's because you're too far away from towers or your Wi-Fi cannot reach to your router or your modem. So how far is this thing gonna be able to stretch? Will he still be as smart, or will he just have a normal person and have to gather up them energy, gather up some new information to take with him along his ride? Maybe his brain will have to go back to a higher point or big as a giant again for him to have information and be the smart Dr. Vegapunk that he is. I'm just curious about the whole entire thing. And guys, we do see that Rob Lucci is arriving to this island. So things are about to get really hectic on this island. And if they have any whiff of the that Dr. Vegapunk is giving information out, and especially information about the Void Arrow, what's going to stop Imo-san from destroying that whole island? And if the whole island is destroyed and having Dr. Vegapunk's brain on that island, things does not seem like it would add up correctly to me. But I do feel like a lot of these Dr. Vegapunks probably will not exist in a little while, and I feel like one of them will actually be a traitor, and I feel like that would be Greedy. I feel like we just haven't seen Greedy do anything sciencey whatsoever. She's been eating and just using the restroom. I feel like something is going on with that, because some things are not starting to add up here. Just with me, just reading a lot of stories time and time again, I feel like it's always some type of mode that's out there and telling the whole world, probably the world government, about what's going on, and they know that a certain person is probably having Blackbeard Dragon. Somebody is out there probably helping Monkey D. Dragon. We definitely will have a fight coming up pretty soon, because Vegapunk Shaka told the Dr. Vegapunks, do not let CP0 dock on Egghead Island. And that is the start of a battle that's coming to be knocking on the doors. And Dr. Vegapunk, he is logic, and he's telling everybody to prepare for battle. And one thing I gotta get off my chest, because it's something that I really get passionate about every time I see just the similarities about when CB0 shows up. They are able to destroy one of the giant medical beasts, sea monsters that they have, that Dr. Vegapunk created. But when the Straw Hats pulled up and they was attacked about the same different types of sea monster, they had a hard time. I mean, like, we lost, we got separated and everything. I get passionate about this because I don't feel like that is a good portrayal of the Straw Hats. CP0 is just showing like they can handle stuff easily because they are highly classified agents. But this is a Yonko's crew with the Straw Hats, and they're struggling with some machines. It just, I don't like the storytelling. I understand that the story needs to separate Luffy from everybody and everything just so he can do his own little adventure. I get it, but at the same time, the portrayal of the Straw Hats, I take that real passionately about. I just do not like them being portrayed as that they can't handle certain situations, especially some just machines that, shoot, I think even Frankie can handle easily. The last thing before I let you guys go, I think I took a lot of your time already, but it's the thing that Dr. Vegapunk has to get to Juribana. We see that being stated here in this chapter about Dr. Vegapunk feels some type of guilt of what is going on with Kuma and everything, and he says he has to give Juribani something. And I think that's something probably will be like a video of Kuma before he took his surgery or his changing into a machine, that he had to tell Julie Bonnie that he was sorry, he was doing it for a reason, and he probably just loves her or something like that. I feel like that's the direction it will go to. Can't see anything else. I can't see it being a power up for Julie Bonnie, because I don't think she serves a purpose like that. But I feel like in that direction, I feel like Kuma knows that he lost a friend. He didn't want to do that to Dr. Vegapunk knows that he lost his friend in Kuma, and he didn't want to experiment in Kuma like that, but they didn't have no other choice at that time. And I believe that's what things came to and made the video for a backup plan for Fury Bonnie. But that is it for Road Talk today. I hope you did enjoy the video, and please guys, if you did like the video, make sure you like it. Simple, right there. Just turn that finger green. I think that's what it is. But till the next time, guys, all my friends, all my Nakama, I appreciate you. Till the next time, peace.